This week in games, Suicide Squad gets delayed, Sony's war over Call of Duty continues, and Epic just might be saving the games industry. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 138. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello, fans of the Two Penny Gamescast. My name is Connor.
Bada bing, bada boom. Connor, how are you doing, man?
Good. It's like I've seen you for the first time today and haven't been talking to you for a couple hours.
Last couple hours. Yeah. Recording is fun. Yeah, that's awesome. You had a better week than last week. I know the last week you were having a bit of a toughie one.
Yeah, it's still busy at my job, but that's kind of par for the course at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't making me angry anymore, so I think that's good.
Hey, there you go. That's a win. That's a win. I'm back in Nacogdoches, schooling, doing all the school stuff. Just got back today. Very exciting stuff. But we're not here to talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. You are here for the new news, because if you didn't know, this is the Two Penny Gamescast, your weekly video game news show in which me and Connor give you the new news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. You can find this show every week at youtube.com/@2pennygames or mainstream podcast services of your choice every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Time. You can also find us over on TikTok at 2 Penny Games, Twitter, the number 2 Penny Games, and twitch.tv/2 Penny Games, where we go live at least every Tuesday with our good friend and co-host Phil Shoemaker. He will be coming in a little later to do our Halo Combat Evolved Game Club review, so make sure you stick around for that. You can also find it live on the channel right now. Also, since we're talking Phil and the live streams, back in the day, me and Phil used to host a little game show called Hype, Hyep, Have You Ever Played, in which one of us showed the other video games we've never played before. We are putting those live up bit by bit on youtube.com/@2pennygames. And this week is the inaugural episode of our Super Mario Sunshine playthrough. It'll be my first time playing Super Mario Sunshine. Phil showing me the ropes in it. So please make sure you check that out on Tuesday. Connor?
Are we getting into it, Tavin?
Let's drop some sense on him, baby. First topic of the day. This is my first penny. Boy, oh boy, there's a couple of game delays this week. Most notably, Suicide Squad has been delayed. At least that's been reported by Jason Schreier. We are pulling a Kotaku, a Kotaku article by Zach Zwiesen. Report, Suicide Squad game delayed after negative fan reaction. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, the upcoming online co-op action shooter from Rocksteady, has reportedly been delayed from its planned May release to sometime, quote, later this year. This follows last month's release of new gameplay footage being met with a flood of negative reactions from fans and critics alike. First revealed way back in August 2020, Rocksteady's Suicide game stars popular DC villains like Harley Quinn and Captain Boomerang and is based on a long-running series of comics about villains being recruited by government agent Amanda Waller to take on wildly dangerous threats and complete ethically dubious missions. This one is also connected to the Arkham games, and unlike last year's other DC co-op flop, Gotham Knights. But if you were excited to play Rocksteady's next big game, you'll reportedly have to wait a little longer. Today, Bloomberg reported that Suicide Squad has been delayed from May to a yet-to-be-determined date sometime later this year. The report, which cites a person with direct knowledge of the matter, doesn't directly connect last month's poor showing to the delay, but it seems very likely that Suicide Squad is getting some extra time following the backlash to try and tweak and improve as much of the game without completely revamping it. So, there's more. Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier explained on Twitter that the relatively short delay, assuming it still comes out this year, is likely not intended to overhaul the core gameplay and instead is just about polishing what's there already. So, Connor, Suicide Squad had a big gameplay reveal last month with the PlayStation State of Play. We reacted to the State of Play. You can find that reaction live at youtube.com/@2pennygames. And then we talked about it on one of the episodes of the 2penny Gamescast. Both of us were more positive than the rest of the internet towards the game footage and the reveal. We both felt that, and correct me if I'm speaking out of turn for your opinions, but I specifically felt that it didn't look like the greatest game in the world, but it did look like fun in sort of a Crackdown type of vibe, sort of a Outriders vibe, or maybe even like a lower class Division type of game. It just seemed like it would be a fun game to jump in with your friends and do things. But I do recognize that, games as service games are not super popular right now. And people want, more of the single-player action-adventure style from a superhero cast. I also think, choosing the Suicide Squad as your main cast was a choice that is very much rooted in 2016. And the massive delays that this game is facing, Rocksteady, stepping out of their comfort zone for this type of game. I think it's clear that this is just the wrong type of game, the wrong cast, the wrong developer, and it's led to a conversation online to where Suicide Squad has a very hard uphill battle ahead of it. And though I hope this delay gives them what they need to make sure it's polished, make sure it runs well at launch, maybe even gives them time to vamp out a roadmap of content post-launch, the simple fact is that I don't think there's anything they can do to turn the conversation around on Suicide Squad. Even though I'm personally higher on it than the internet is, but the internet is the internet, and I don't think Suicide Squad is it's just not going to be received well from my prediction, from my perspective. But how are you feeling about this specifically?
Well, to your point earlier, I am just right there along with you. It looks like a fun game. The things that I saw people criticizing, obviously the live service stuff, the currencies, all the UI that just kind of screams, here's generic, build your character with equipment that doesn't really change anything substantial. Which, usually when a game, it's good when a game doesn't show what it's got going on prematurely. Many games do this, and it ends up having trouble on the back end of the developers. But this is one of those cases where, outside of just not reading the room properly, getting it out earlier to try and show people what they have planning would possibly have given them more time to change things than, a few months before it comes out. Because as you said, there's not much they can really do to change it. It's just, the game is what it is. It's not going to play differently. They're not going to change it anywhere like that. They still obviously are set on the live service kind of game. Even though people aren't really hot on that, this seems kind of like an unnecessary delay. And I don't think it'll actually really show up in any substantive way.
Well, I think if I were to guess, Rocksteady was looking for a delay regardless of the internet reaction. The internet reaction probably just gave them reason to go to who owns them, Warner Brothers, and be like, "Hey, internet doesn't like this. Can we get a delay so that we can make it better?" What we see from there is, I would hope maybe a UI overhaul of some kind, but I doubt it's going to do that. We're not getting gameplay overhauls. It's just too late in the process for this. These games take so long to make, and it's been so long since Rocksteady has put out a game. 2015 was the last time they did with Arkham Knight. And, I mean, again, like, so much of this game just speaks of late last-gen thinking, where games of service is a thing that's hot. It hasn't been burnt out of the mainstream quite yet. And Suicide Squad was popping in 2016 with the release of that first movie. And, even though that movie wasn't received well at all because it's awful, the brand was popular at the time. And there was, cartoons and comic books were popping about the Suicide Squad, and it was just an exciting IP to grab. And to have it set in the Arkham verse is also weird because nothing about this game screams Arkham to me. So it's just really, really messy, and it reeks of executive decisions that I just don't think we're the smartest to make at the time. And I just don't understand why these executives keep putting teams that are not built for this type of game on these games. It's the reason Eidos Montreal's Avengers failed, is because they don't make games like this. I think Rocksteady is a more capable developer team than Eidos. Not shitting on Eidos, their games are great. And I do think that they've had enough time since Avengers launched to learn lessons from that, and so I'm sure we will see changes in that. But I mean, there's just so much about the narrative of this game that is just going to be so hard to change for people. And it's unfortunate that a game that I think is actually going to be fun and quality is just not going to be given the chance it probably needs to find success. Like, I do think people would find a lot of fun with this game. But yeah, I think Rocksteady's best option right now is to just make sure the game is polished and to have a content map ready. Because that was Avengers' big problem, is that, and Anthem and Fallout 76, is they were working so hard on just getting the game out, and they were messy and bug galore, and design was not there. I think the design function is going to be better in this game. It's just, it needs to be polished, and they need to have content drops coming quickly after launch. They need something planned for the first 3 months, or after the first, month or two. They need to have, and here's this new wave of missions that you can play. Here's a raid-based mission. Here's a new character you can play as. Here's a new city to explore or something. Like, there just needs to be, substantial content drops coming immediately after this in order to turn that conversation around. Because the conversation of launch is already rotten. You're not going to win anybody there. But it might turn into a conversation of like, hey man, this isn't what we want, but the game is fun, especially with friends. And that might bring people in and give people, enough motivation to try it out. And then it needs to be met with, oh, hey, and they've got a plan. This isn't another Avengers. This isn't another Anthem. This isn't another Fallout 76. It is, or even a No Man's Sky. It is something where they go, hey, this game is fun. It's quality. It's a cool 7 out of 10 game. Is it what we would like to play? No. I think we would all rather play a Justice League game. I think we would all rather have differences in characters in terms of how they play and how they feel. I think we would all rather not be shooting giant purple masses. But that's what this game is. And it's unfortunate that that's what this game is from a dev team that is so good at action-adventure, narrative-based storytelling games with superheroes. And to see them have to pivot to this, no, it's not what we want, but let's try and make the best of a quote-unquote bad situation and find a silver lining here. So I really do hope that they're taking this time to specifically create a roadmap for content so that, let's say this game does make it this year, and instead of, coming out in May, it comes out in, October, which also, to come out in May was a bad idea. Because now you're going against Zelda, now you're going against Jedi Survivor, now you're going against a whole bunch of games. Like, the first half of this year is really fucking busy. So for it to be pushed back a little bit to where the year looks a little more empty, you're really just looking at Spider-Man 2 and now Starfield, which we'll talk about here in a second. This, I hope, gives it a little bit more of a fighting chance. If I were in it, I would push it out of this year entirely and have it hit in that early part of the year where games like Outriders found success. In your January, February, early March, where it has room to breathe and it has a chance of getting an audience and it has a chance of people starting the new year looking for something new to play instead of, being like, hey, this Suicide Squad game looks okay, but I also have all of these 8, 9s, and 10s that I can play right now with your Resident Evil 4s, with your Jedis, your Zeldas, your Starfields, your Spider-Mans, etc. Whereas, like, if it, gets punted over to, let's say, February, what's its biggest competition? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? All right? Like, that is a small group of player base that's going to play that game.
Unfortunately, they might have just damned themselves already with the decisions that the executives have made on this game, because it's not appealing to people, and the reason why people aren't happy on the game isn't going to change. So you might not see a very warm reception to this game when it does come out, delay or no.
Yeah, but those decisions, I would assume, were made 7 years ago. Like,
Yeah,
you just can't turn even if they were like, hey, this isn't working 2 years ago, they would already be too far in development to change anything about it.
that's true.
So,
Well,
is there even a chance that maybe this game just gets quietly like put away, like Skull and Bones seems to happen?
Ooh, I don't think of that much, especially because there's gameplay. Obviously, the game seems functional, and they are close to it being released. Since they're just polishing things, I would assume they could release it basically at the original release date and any time after that, and they're just doing it to, put up a nice front of, hey, we're changing the game, maybe reassure some people's fears and draw players that might otherwise have been lost with the recent gameplay and ideas that they've shown, and just kind of forget about it.
Where would you think this game is now placed?
Well, it was coming out. What was the original date?
May.
Yeah, May something. Okay, so maybe without knowing really what games are coming out in the next following months after that, I'm gonna go ahead and say like maybe July, near the tail end of summer.
You think just a 2-month delay?
Yeah, possibly August.
Tail end of summer would not be an awful place for this game to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I'm just off the top of my head. I would think there's not too many games coming out at that point to contest it because, as you said before, May's just too heavy of a month.
It's a heavy month, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then really quickly, just to talk about it, Starfield has technically been delayed to September, with a Starfield Direct coming in June, which is to be met on the back half of let me see where, I don't need to read the whole thing, but basically Microsoft has announced the date for their Summer Games Fest showcase thing, and then immediately after that, a Starfield Direct is coming on June 11th. The game is now set to be released on September 6th. I don't think this is a problem. I think this is simply, honestly, I think this is a symptom of being acquired by Microsoft. Not that it pushed development backwards, is just I think Bethesda of old would have released it back in November and said, good enough. Like, yeah, sure, it's, kind of broken and janky, but we're Bethesda, so people are going to buy it. Whereas I think Microsoft is more of the opinion of, no, Starfield needs to be a banger, so let's give you all the time you need. Do you need more time? Here's more time. And the only reason it's technically delayed, we never had a hard date for it. It was just that the last Summer Games Showcase said it was going to be out within a 12-month period of that showing, and September pushes it outside of that window. So, yes, technically delayed, but we never had a solid date, so, that's fine. And this is way less doom and gloom for Starfield than it is for Suicide Squad. This is clearly just they just want more time to polish the game and make it good, which I think would be good for Starfield and the overall narrative surrounding Bethesda games right now.
Yeah, because the issue with Starfield is it seems very ambitious with how much content they're going to be pushing into it. At least that's what we get the impression of based off how they've been talking about this game. So I think one of the bigger issues you see outside, of course, of the concepts that they're introducing into the game, once again, whatever those might be, aren't fully realized. The big other issue is polish, whether the game's going to play well. Because with that big of a game, even with the new technology, there's lots of rooms for things to go wrong with how the game runs. So having these, delays, generally, I always see them as a good thing, as long as it's not constantly screwing over the dev team by putting a deadline on when the game should come out, and then changing that and messing everybody's expectations up. So as you said, it's not doom and gloom, and I think it'll benefit from this short delay.
Yeah, in a couple months, no big deal. Also gives Starfield a little more time to breathe, because you look around at the landscape, like we already said, this first half of the year is packed. We are, from the time of recording, we are 12 days away from Resident Evil 4. Shortly after that is Jedi Survivor. Shortly after that is, I forget what comes first. I think it's Zelda and then Final Fantasy 16. Is that right, or do I have that backwards? It doesn't matter.
No. I think Final Fantasy 16 is like in June.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of games coming on the horizon. I think Starfield getting its own time to be, as chunky and as meaty as it is, it being a new IP, you want to really give it time to breathe. A new IP coming from Bethesda, which it's been a while since they've had a landmark title. I would say since Skyrim, you could make an argument for Fallout 4, Fallout 76 being a hard flop, at least in terms of reception. I know it's found an audience now. So I think this is a good thing here. You can read into this of like, oh, this just means Starfield is going to be a better game than it is. Judge the gameplay for what it is, and I also think getting another like Starfield Direct, letting us really get down into the nitty gritty of the systems and so forth, and having it separate from any Microsoft showcase is a good thing, because now we can start answering a lot of questions, and you have the amount of time necessary to give us the answers to these questions that we've had for a long time. So, yeah, this reads to me as Starfield will come out and be of quality, whereas Suicide Squad reads to, oh man, they are really trying to, correct the course. So, just a different type of situation there. Moving on to our second topic of the day, my second penny. Microsoft confirms it will let Sony put Call of Duty on PS Plus on day one. This is a Kotaku article it's a video game news article from Andy Robinson. Microsoft has confirmed it's offered Sony the option to put future Call of Duty games on its PlayStation Plus subscription service on day one, as part of its bid to appease regulators' concerns over its proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition. However, Sony Interactive Entertainment has alleged the offer could be reliant on unsustainable licensing costs, which would force it to raise prices. The offer is detailed in Microsoft's newly published response to the UK regulator, the Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, provisional findings on the deal, which were released last month. In its response, Microsoft reiterates its willingness to sign a 10-year contract guaranteeing the shooter series will continue to be released on PlayStation consoles post-acquisition. Microsoft claims its 10-year offer will provide Sony with priority on release date, content, features, upgrades, quality, and playability with the Xbox platform across PS4, PS5, and any successor platforms. Notably, Xbox owners said that that priority will also apply to streaming and subscription services, confirming a Bloomberg report from last year. Quote, any COD game in a Microsoft multi-game subscription is eligible for inclusion in Sony's multi-game subscription service at the time and for the same duration, Microsoft claims in its response. And then it's also worth noting there were some other headlines where Sony has been denying these deals, and Jim Ryan, CEO of SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment, was quoted as saying he doesn't want to sign a deal. He just doesn't want Microsoft to have Call of Duty.
Seems very apparent based off a story like this. They really seem to be reaching.
Yeah, it's petty. It's ridiculous. It's just another drawn-out step in all of this. And I think clearly Microsoft is winning this fight because PlayStation's really trying to fight down and dirty for this. So, I mean, what is there really to say? Oh, there was also a headline saying Sony is fearing Xbox will give PlayStation lesser versions of Call of Duty that don't run as well. And you have to scratch your head and wonder, now why, Sony, would you be thinking that? Why would that be a thing that's happening? Is it maybe because you were doing a behind-the-scenes deal with Activision to do that to other console games, such as maybe Wii U titles, maybe Xbox titles? That's interesting. Is that why we haven't seen a Call of Duty on a Nintendo platform since Call of Duty Ghosts? It's an interesting idea. Just throwing that out there to see what happens there.
I think Sony really likes money.
They really like money. They really, really do. And it sucks because it's like, for what purpose, man? Like, you're still going to get your things. And here's the thing, like, you can just sign, like, Microsoft is willing to work with you. You just you're just a spoiled brat, taking your ball and going home, So, I mean, every update to the story, I just get more and more tired about it. And we've skipped a couple of, like, updates in the story that just didn't seem consequential. But, this one was a little larger than some of those other ones. And, It's just funny to me how petty these giant corporations are getting with each other. And we've said it before, but PlayStation really just does not have a leg to stand on in its arguments, in my opinion. Like, it just controls too much of the market. It controls too many studios, too many talented studios. It's just too big. And Call of Duty not being on the platform will not affect it as much as they think it will. Or rather, it will not affect them as much as they want us to think it will.
They'll keep trying, though, obviously. As you said, I think it's clearly in Microsoft's favor at the current period of time.
Yeah. So, Connor, moving on to topic number 3, your third penny of the day. Do you just want to go ahead and take it right here from here?
I will take it right here. This next topic is from PC Gamer. Epic launches self-publishing tools, calls out Valve again. Steam has created a real problem for the industry. This is by Tyler Wilde. The Epic Game Store is now open for self-publishing. For $100, the same fee Valve charges for Steam submissions, anyone can submit a game for inclusion in the Epic Game Store library. Epic's system is similar to Steam's Direct, with which Valve introduced in 2018 and will probably result in Epic's library ballooning over the next year. There are a few notable differences between Steam and Epic's self-publishing rules, however. In some ways, Epic's game submission guidelines are more permissive than Steam's, but Epic also has 2 big rules that Steam doesn't. Paraphrased, they are no pornographic games. Fellas, no stuff on there.
No dirty.
And multiplayer games must have crossplay with other PC stores.
Bars.
Right. The first of those was expected. Epic CEO Tim Sweeney said in 2019 they don't want to sell porn games. Well, we'll skip that part. Not as important. Because we'll just cover it right here. You can play them wherever you want on Steam. Just live with that. Anyway, the second rule, there was a requirement rather than a prohibition. If you release a multiplayer game on the Epic Game Store and Steam, or another PC store, you have to make it possible for everyone to play together, regardless of where they bought it. Epic offers a free solution for cross-launch multiplayer called Epic Online Services, but says those developers can use their own online system if they prefer. Steam does not have such a requirement for multiplayer games, and its free multiplayer API, Steamworks, does not work on any store except Steam. Sweeney has a bone to pick with Valve over that. In a call this week, the Epic CEO told me that Steam, quote, Steam has created a real problem for the industry with Steamworks. Quote, they have a classic lock-in strategy where they build these services that only work with their store, and they use the fact that they have the majority market share in order to encourage everybody to ship games that have a broken experience in other stores, Sweeney said. And we were bitten by this early on with a number of multiplayer games coming to the Epic Game Store. Steamworks didn't work on our store, so they had either a reduced set of multiplayer features or none, or they were just limited to much smaller audience back in the launch days of the Epic Game Store. So you had a lot of multiplayer games that really felt like they were broken. And remember, Call of Duty went through a debacle launching on the Windows Store a while back, in which you can only matchmake with other Windows Store players, and that is not how PC should work. End quote. The Epic Online Services API also supports crossplay between PC and consoles. It's the same technology Epic built for Fortnite, but console crossplay isn't a requirement for EGS submissions, just crossplay between PC stores. A potential consequence for us is that we will see more multiplayer games use their own friends lists or Epic systems rather than fully integrating with Steamworks. That's already a common sight, though. Many multiplayer games on Steam require separate accounts or only partially use Steam's API. Rainbow on Steam requires separate accounts, or Rainbow Six Siege, for instance, requires Ubisoft Connect. PC multiplayer functionality, of course, wasn't tied to the store you bought it from in the pre-Steam era. I'm not sure how you would have made me play Command & Conquer Red Alert exclusively at Fry's Electronics. Thanks, Tom Wild.
I mean, that's the long and short of it. Is that
yes.
It's just easier. It's easier to publish games on Epic now.
I remember when Epic first came out, it was kind of funny because they were the ones who were getting ragged on by everybody. People were angry at Epic Games for challenging Steam because Steam was the top dog. It was the only dog. It was before we had these different launchers. Now, a lot of that really came down to the fact they didn't want to just open up another launcher, have 2 on their PC at the same time, since they would find that a little bit inconveniencing.
We were also in the days of platform exclusivity. Like,
yeah.
if someone had a game on Steam and you had it on Epic, you just couldn't play together. That was a short period of time, but it was a period of time.
Yeah, and to Epic's credit, they're upping Steam in some ways. Not some in other ways. I mean, obviously, we're not... Tavin, I don't know about you, but I don't play porn games. Do you?
Listen, I would like my private life to remain my private life, okay,
That's
Connor?
fine.
You don't need to be out here digging out, asking for all these personal-ass questions.
Okay. But no, it's fine if people play those games. But, it just... Competition is good. And while there are some caveats that you can kind of come across with, how online games work, that's the thing I'm most confused about, because I'm not a tech guy. I don't know how these systems are exactly done, but I know that I want to be able to play with anybody. I don't want any restrictions to really be blocking my way. So aside from that, I mean, competition is usually a good thing. So someone doesn't have an entire monopoly over how you play games on PC, which Steam kind of was the top dog for the longest time, and now they actually have a substantial challenger.
Yeah, I mean, the long and short of it is this is enabling more games to get in the hands of more players and for more players to play the way they want. Which is just unilaterally just a good thing for consumers. I think Epic in the last couple of years has really been pushing, more than the last couple of years, for quite a while now, has been the lead dog in pushing for consumer services. I would argue that Epic is the reason why the crossplay walls have fallen, and the gatekeeping is limited to almost none nowadays. We've seen them fight a lot of big dogs for a lot of reasons for a number of years now. In the early days of this show, we saw them take on Apple and Google for Fortnite price gouging on their platforms, and how that would affect other mobile games and mobile gaming services on those platforms. And that didn't really go too much in their favor, but it started a conversation. And here they are doing it again, where this one, they've got quite a bit more ground to stand on than last time. And I think this will just enable a unification in gaming to where gamers, as I said before, will just be able to play what they want, where they want. And it just allows developers ease of access to different platforms and stuff. Sweeney, mentioned it in the article here, where like it was really hard for some games to come to Epic and have full content on Epic Games Store, or have every service and have it run at the same level of quality as it would on Steam or on PlayStation, etc. This is just a way to enable game developers to have content complete packages and to give them the tools needed to continue evolving the industry. Hats off to Epic. Y'all have been fighting the good fight for a minute now, even though there are shortcomings to Epic Games for sure. But I've always felt that they've been behind the consumer for a long time.
To your point of how they don't do everything right, this does have a little quote saying in the article, unlike Steam, the Epic Games Store has no ban on blockchain games, which, to you and me, we don't know much about NFTs and the whole blockchain concept, but it's clearly one that's being pushed by corporations. Square Enix's now former CEO was a big pusher of that, and the new one might be as well. It doesn't seem like Epic's trying to screw anybody over with this, but they're clearly just getting behind the new thing.
Yeah, but I just kind of see NFTs and a blockchain as a fad for today, and it's already dying. Like,
it is.
We're watching it die before our eyes. So I just don't think, yes, they should probably block those things, but it's not a priority. And I think this is more of a priority than that. There was also some security issues they had in the early days. I don't know if they fixed those or not, but things were a little odd. I think something about giving information away on Chinese servers or something like that. I forget exactly, but
it never
regardless, hats off to Epic, in my opinion. Moving on, Connor. Topic number 4, your final penny of the day before we get into our Halo Combat Evolved review.
Let's see. We are with IGN. IGN today about an article from Logan Plant. Stalker 2 devs say they were hacked. Ask fans to stay away from leaks. Beginning with I'll skip the editor's note. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl developer GSC Game World has revealed it was hacked by a group on a Russian social network. On Twitter, GSC Game World team posted a statement about the hack, explaining what happened and revealing that the studio has faced cyber attacks since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Quote, recently our employees' account for a collective work with images application was hacked. GSC Game World wrote, the responsibility for this was claimed by a community from a Russian social network. They are threatening to use the data obtained for blackmail and intimidation. This is not the first attempt to hack and leak our data, including personal information. We have been enduring constant cyber attacks for more than a year now. We have faced blackmail, acts of aggression, hacks, attempts to hurt players and fans, and efforts to damage the development process or the reputation of our company. GSC Game World is asking fans to, quote, refrain from watching or distributing information, end quote, about Stalker 2 and the events of any leaks. The studio said that outdated and work-in-progress materials are not representative of the final product. Elsewhere in the statement, GSC Game World also reiterated, quote, unwavering commitment to supporting, end quote, Ukraine, adding that, I should stop doing the end quotes as much as I do. Attempt to blackmail or intimidate us are completely futile. Finally, the team expressed its appreciation for the Stalker 2 community, ending by saying, your support is our inspiration. The Ukrainian studio has been very local about the ongoing war in its home country, and then this is it. Clearly, their work has been impacted by a war going on in their own country, and now we even have some apparently devs that were fighting in the war itself because they're just trying to protect their home from the Russian invaders, and unfortunately, some nationalistic group seems to have a hard-on for just trying to make their lives even more difficult than it already is. Unfortunately, I don't want any private information leaked, but hackers can really just dive into that information and take it as they see fit. So I feel bad. These guys just can't catch a break. They really can't.
Yeah, they're having a really hard time. The pandemic really hurt them, and then now this invasion from Russia is really annoying, and then just constant, just bad news from this team again and again and again, which is really unfortunate because a lot of people liked that first Stalker game, and a lot of people, Connor, including yourself, was excited for Stalker 2. I don't think this has any bearing on the quality of the game, but it's just that, you know, they've had a lot of issues going forward. And so I hope, you know, fans of the series, I hope you're not spoiled on anything by this, but that's really the lesser thing. I really just hope personal information and everybody is safe. Personal information doesn't get out and everybody is safe. So hopefully those affected by this are affected minimally. Hopefully there's not too many people affected by this. And hey, guys, like hacker people, like, can we not just be good to each other? Like, come on now. It's not that hard to not be an asshole.
It is for them. It's in fact, I would go so far as to say they're human filth. Not even bad people.
They are indeed. Connor, anything else you have to say about this?
I hope that doesn't have. I hope they're getting less screwed in the future.
For sure. And
it's good that they didn't back down.
On a consumer level, let's hope that the game, the art, all of this work, you know, doesn't go wasted. Because this is a team, you know, doing their best with already limited resources. A lot of Ukrainian dev studios don't, you know, exactly have the resources to put out the best games, but, you know, they do have a lot of heart in them, and they capture the attention of a lot of people all around the world. So, hoping for the best for the Stalker 2 team here. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the news. So we are going to go ahead and jump right into our Halo Combat Evolved review. We are going to bring Phil in here, so just stay tuned for that. But as always, you can find us every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, where you can get the new news you need to know. Until next time, have a great time, and let's get on with the review. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a 2 Penny Games review. This time, your monthly video game book club, the 2 Penny Game Club episode on Halo Combat Evolved. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good gaming friends. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello, my name is Connor Elliott, and I'm here to review Halo.
And say hello, Phil Shoemaker.
That's right, Tavin. We're here reviewing the Halo Combat Evolved right here.
That's not what he really sounds like.
What? Wait. What's that an impression on?
What?
Is that an original voice by Phil Shoemaker?
No, definitely not.
The voice actor?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, once a month, usually, or really just whenever we complete the game and have a space to talk about it, we review games of yore, and we review and rank them against each other here on our video game book club game show called the 2 Penny Game Club. We've reviewed games such as The Last of Us, Chrono Trigger, Resident Evil, and this time we are reviewing Halo Combat Evolved. Connor, I want to start with you, good buddy. because I feel like, based off of previous conversations I've had with both of you, where are we on? I feel like we should start positive here. So, Connor, what is your review of Halo Combat Evolved?
You know, through my experience of the Halo games, I came to an understanding that there's a reason why this is a classic. And that's because it had extremely, amazingly detailed graphics, extremely, well, I should preface this by saying I played the Master Chief Collection, which means I could switch between old and new graphics. So I'm going to talk, since I played it in both modes, I'm going to be talking from the original Halo's perspective of the classic graphics, since I'm assuming you guys played it on the new version, the remaster.
Phil did old, I bounced back and forth.
Okay, I did bounce back and forth as well, but okay, I guess I could say both of them, since I did both of it at the same time. It's a game that earned its place by being a fun, co-op, single-player. I don't know why it was as popular as it was. Actually, now that I think about it. Where to start with Halo?
Well,
yeah,
I'm
let me
gonna...
start with... You'll go with you started in first. You go start first, Tab.
Okay, so I'll jump in here. Halo Combat Evolved is a classic game because it modernized twin-stick shooting in first-person shooter games on console, gamepad, all of that. And it was revolutionary for that reason at its time. I think playing it today, it is extremely dated in its overall game design and specifically its level design. However, it is still really, really fun to play. It just has really fun and engaging gunplay, really charismatic characters and art styles, and you just feel like you're getting lost in its world really, really well. And I think that's what has really carried the franchise all the way through. Even as, things like level design and overall game design do get better with later iterations, in this one, the things that worked still ring true. The things that didn't work bring it back dramatically. The levels are too long, they're too much of the same, and even though its core gameplay loop is fun and entertaining, it's just not enough to keep it going all the way to the end. I had a good time with Halo, but I also felt like, man, this game is a bit of a drag to play. It felt like doing my chores to play this one in certain aspects. Though I did have fun, it just overall, as a complete package, didn't come together with a modern lens on it. So even though I think elements are fantastic, just all together, it just didn't ring super well for me. So like, I enjoyed it, but I just objectively cannot say it's like a masterpiece of a game or a great game. And I don't think anybody would blame me for saying so. Phil, I'm going to jump to you.
All right. I think Halo Combat Evolved, it's a good game, but like Tavin said, there are lots of bits that just kind of feel like a drag, and I feel like it would not be nearly as fun if I did not have the co-op partner here with me. Tavin, me and Tavin played through the whole game. Little bit of a shaky start. I think it was just the deal with PC gaming, and I don't think that's really a reflection on Halo as a whole.
It's not Halo's fault for that.
Right? No. Yeah, it's not their fault at all. But yeah, once we were into it, I was getting pretty into it, but kind of towards the tail end, it was kind of showing its ugly face with like the repetitiveness and how a lot of the designs kind of look the same. And like y'all said earlier, I was playing on the classic stuff, so a lot of lighting, very like dark hallways, very much like, hey, if this arrow was not on the floor, the player would have no idea where they were supposed to go. Lots of like kind of standing, waiting for a door to be open, just for an excuse for enemies to come out of the walls. That's only a couple levels just off the top of my head. Very long, repetitive levels where you just have to kind of run around the entire level. Sometimes it gives you a vehicle that makes it a little easier. Gunplay, still great. Driving vehicles, still fun. Shooting enemies, still very fun. But I think overall, I looked back on this game with rose-colored glasses, and it was kind of nice to go back and kind of see how I feel about it today. And I think it's my least favorite Halo game.
Now, Connor, you got any thoughts?
Let's pretend like this is my first time speaking on the game. Halo Combat Evolved. It's an outdated game. It has a level design that felt very, as you guys said, lengthy. It kept going. I would lose track of where I was a lot, and I switched between the original way to play the game and the new one, and it made a way bigger difference in how I was able to progress through certain levels with the new way to play the game, the new updated graphics, making it a little bit easier due to having a lot more detail and you seeing what doors you can go through and what doors you can't go through.
I mean, just the upgrade in lighting alone.
Yes, and lighting as well. It makes it way more easy to see things, and even though I tried to play the old way of the old graphics, I just couldn't do it to try and, because I was trying to get through this game as quick as possible, especially because I was lagging on the amount of time I had to play this game since I was dragging my feet, because I tried to play it with a friend, so I ended up spending most of my playthrough doing it solo, as opposed to these guys. And playing on normal, there are certain parts where the game does block your way and provide a certain level of difficulty, which I enjoyed, considering that it overall is kind of an easy game, and it was good to break up the repetitive motion of just going through waves and waves of grunts and elites who, once you kind of got down your basic tactics of sticking them with grenades, using your shotgun or your assault rifle to take down their shields and then come and hit them, do the classic Halo shoot right afterwards, as multiplayer would kind of refine in the years to come. It provided a fun story, one that didn't really surprise me, considering that I had played it before. But back in the day, I assumed it would have been kind of surprising to see the turn of the twists and turns of characters dying and betrayals going on. But from a modern lens, two betrayals, some might say. But from a modern lens, Tavin thinking. From a modern lens, while it does have its enjoyment in its gameplay, its gunplay, its vehicles, its enemy variety, which certain games at that time definitely did not have. It threw a lot more at you than just the guy with the armor, or the one with the grunt who goes down super easy, and developing them through different species in the Covenant's forces who serve as the main antagonist of this game. But even so, level design does really bog it down, though it is a quick game. It is not a long one, so it doesn't feel like it really drags unnecessarily, though the levels can feel that way because it can get so confusing to find out where you're going. But overall, I think, though it is definitely the weaker of the Halo series, especially with all that it has to offer, which is to say not that much, especially since you can't really play old online Halo anymore.
But you can through the Master Chief Collection.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can play them all.
Oh, you could.
But I'll say me and Phil jumped into that a few years ago, and the multiplayer for this game is broken. It's totally unfair and unbalanced, and it's just not really a lot of fun to play in a modern sense.
Definitely want to stick to like your Halo Reach multiplayer, Halo 4 multiplayer.
Don't touch
Halo 3.
Don't touch Halo Reach, guys. That game
You can touch Halo Reach.
Tavin's a notable hater of Reach.
Reach sucks. Reach is the worst. With this one though, you can definitely you can feel in the game that it just barely came together. Like they barely got it working for launch. Like you just feel it. Like if they didn't have the exact amount of time that they had and they didn't work exactly how they needed to, like this game would have came out and flopped. Like you can just feel how all of that worked. But yeah, its core gameplay I think works. It's just everything around it doesn't. Its story is super whatever. I just don't care. Like, its cool little twist of the Flood is neat and a great way to change up gameplay. But then the Flood immediately gets annoying because the level designs in the Flood levels are so long and drawn out in just corridor after corridor after corridor, to the point to where you're just like, oh my God, I've had enough. Can we move on, please? Because I'm sick of this.
I've heard it told several times that a lot of people call this game Holloway's Combat Evolved.
Yeah, and for a lot of the game, that's true. I think that, it's being derogatory to some of its, opening levels. And,
sure.
Even some of its later ones are open, but, you just get lost. I think of all the snow levels, it is not clear where you're supposed to go. I just get lost so easily in those. And the fact that
there's that one bit you have to, backtrack all the way to get a Banshee to go all the way back the other way.
Yeah, just a mess. And then, and Phil mentioned it already, but the fact that they had to put arrows on the ground to be go this way, is ridiculous. And specifically in the old graphics, the original graphics, holy crap, this game is so dark and just like one shade of color at a time. Like there's multiple colors, but it's just one at a time. It's either green, blue, gray, purple. That's it. And I think definitely in its last couple of levels, it really falls apart. Like pretty much like after you get past the library, which is the most boring level of them all, it's just terrible level design after terrible level design. The only good ones are like the first 3 or 4.
Hard agree.
Yeah.
Hard agree.
But there really is just something to say about the gunplay and just the charm of Halo as a universe. Like it there's a reason it captured our hearts, you know, and the reason why we care so much about it. And I really, really enjoyed the trip down memory lane, but just knowing where Halo goes in the future really says a lot about it. And the fact that like this playthrough spawned interest in me alongside the season 3 drop in Halo Infinite. It spawned interest in me to like reinstall Halo Infinite and play some of that. And I've been
Get back into that,
hooked on that with all of its modern, gameplay bells and whistles and so forth. So
It's one of those games that hasn't really had, when you play this first game, not many changes at the end of the day with how the game plays. You know, it obviously refines certain systems, add equipments in the new Halo games, add a sprint button, which was absent for the first 3 games.
I don't need a sprint button in Halo games.
You don't?
No, it doesn't bother me because you move fast enough through the world. Like a sprint button only works because they have like, in my opinion, a lot of games they have your set movement and then they just decrease that. And that's like your walk speed or your regular speed, you know, whereas sprint speed is always like the comfortable one. So like if your movement speed is high enough to move through your level design, then it's fine. And I think in Halo, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine. For me, it's more like I'm at the point where now I would be annoyed if they took it away. Because like they gave it to me. It's like, why would you take that out? Like
I guess, but nobody complains that you can't sprint in Doom. Which
Doom move even faster.
Exactly. Like just have your move speed match your level design. Like if it whatever point to where it feels right, just set it to that. You don't need a sprint like I think sprints in video games are super arbitrary. Like they only work in games that try to be more realistic / simulation type things. Like Call of Duty was for a while and then it got ridiculous. But your Call of Duty's, your Battlefields, games that like try to be realistic war sims, whereas this, it's like, all right, it's a bunch of colorful aliens and a bunch of fun guns to play with, and you're shooting, a bunch of blue bullets. Like, you don't need a sprint for this.
Yeah, I mean,
fair point.
That actually is a pretty fair point.
Yeah. But yeah,
job,
the thing about sprint always annoyed me growing up. Like when it got added to like Halo Reach and Halo 4 and all that, I was like, the other games didn't need it because they designed their levels and they designed their core movement around that idea of not having it.
As an armor ability, yeah, it sucks. I hate that.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that was ridiculous. But yeah, it's just not necessary.
It just needs. I mean, if you're gonna put it in there, just keep it as an inherent ability.
Yeah, just a. There's enough buttons on the controller.
Yeah.
The ability of co-op in this game really does elevate it, though, I believe, because
absolutely,
like I say, it's fun enough on your own, but
not nearly as
yeah, you're not rolling credits playing solo.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well,
I don't know if I would. It would take me a hell of a longer.
Unless you're me.
I think I would feel a lot lesser on it because there was a lot of fun that came in with the chaos of having Phil next to me of like, all right, I'm charging, and he's like, I just threw a grenade in there, you do not want to charge in there, and I'm like, oops, and so you get blown up or dead or
I'm turning, shooting, blasting things with my shotgun, and all of a sudden Tavin's in front of me and I shoot him.
Yeah. And then like, or just like classic moments where like, it was kind of annoying, but I kind of also enjoyed it where like, you're killing enemies and all of them drop grenades when they die. So then you throw one grenade and the entire room blows up. And there were
the chain reaction.
There were plenty of fun moments where like I'd sit in a corner and like the entire room would blow up and I would just watch Phil die. Like, and I'm like, whoa, okay, that sucks to you.
It felt very much, Connor, if you remember that that guy that gets double grenaded in that Fast and Furious movie.
There were many moments of that where like
Yeah.
just one grenade hit Phil's feet and then another
That's
one hit his
from,
feet, and I'm like, you're done, buddy. You're gone.
That's 7, right? That's
Five.
7?
Five.
5, okay. Yeah, in Fast 5, where fucking one of them falls out of a car, a grenade goes, and then another grenade is like falls in front of him. It's like, oh my god.
What a great movie.
Great. It's fantastic.
But I mean, you have to give Halo credit where it's due. Like, it revolutionized first-person shooters. It gave us what a modern control scheme for first-person shooters are, which is greatly appreciated because like, I can't believe it. No one thought of it before this. Granted, I guess controller layouts weren't like this until around this time, but it just allowed for first-person shooters to exist on gamepad, like, and for it to work. Otherwise, you would just be using mouse and keyboard for games like Doom or whatever. And so I give it its flowers for that, and it is still fun to play. It's just everything else just drags it so far down. Where, I mean, we just keep harping on it, but this level design is atrocious. Like, it's really, really bad, and I think it kills replayability. Like, if these levels were smaller, maybe 20 minutes long instead of 45 minutes long, it'd be a lot more fun to be like, oh man, let's go hop into the tank level. Let's go hop into the warthog level. Let's go hop into the Pillar of Autumn, you know. But in between all those moments of fun gameplay, it's long stretches of walking, or it's oh shit, I'm lost in this level design, or it's oh wow, this library level fucking sucks. I don't want to play it ever again. And so you just get fucking exhausted playing this game. It's taxing on your like stamina. Like, it's just not a game that you can play all day and have fun the whole time. I have fun in short increments, but overall I'm just not enjoying myself. Well, that's harsh. Overall, like, you just feel the drag.
Yeah. It was like, if this keeps going, I'm gonna get angry. Insert meme of Rick and Morty. 5 more minutes of this, and I'm gonna get upset.
Well, I don't think it's that bad. My God, this is like me with Arkham Asylum.
It's really
Well,
not.
Speaking of which, Connor, let's go ahead and rank this bad boy amongst everything else. So, currently, the list is as follows. Number 9, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 8, Resident Evil 4. Number 7, Portal. Number 6, Resident Evil. Number 5, Chrono Trigger. Number 4, Dishonored. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. Number 1, God of War Ragnarok.
Now I know what's going to happen here. This has been... I've had a premonition, which is to say that Tavin's kind of already told me that some people in this room, not naming names, want to put this over Batman, under Batman Arkham Asylum. Under it. Is that the case, Phil? Tavin?
I mean, really, that's the conversation, is do we put this above or below Batman?
I'm the one who's meant to go last.
Yeah, because you're the most unknown factor. I hated my experience with Batman Arkham Asylum, as it's well documented on this podcast. So, Halo at least had, consistent fun for me. Maybe not the best made game. Maybe I was annoyed at certain points because of the level design, which is the biggest issue of the game. But at least I had fun. At least I had enemies that exceeded the variety of enemies in Arkham Asylum in the first 2 missions than the entire game of Arkham Asylum. So,
Not wrong.
Also, co-op. One does not have co-op.
Also not wrong. This one is actually really tough for me. Because I think Batman Arkham Asylum is a better put together package than Halo. I think Halo is more fun than Batman. Batman, on revisit, I found kind of boring. But it also never felt like a drag. Like, I never disliked my time with Batman Arkham Asylum. I was just never having a really, awesome time with Batman Arkham Asylum. And there were moments in Halo where I was having an awesome time. It's just, the package as a whole, I do think is just inferior to Batman. There's an amount of polish, there's an amount of thought, there's an amount of just intention with Batman, as opposed to like Halo felt like we were trying out a bunch of stuff and seeing what stuck. And where Batman was like, we want this experience that we are going to craft for you, and this is how it's going to go. So I like really like, you ask me any day of the week, like I'll switch back and forth, but I think like the thing is like I would not remind visiting Halo, but I would never complete another playthrough of Halo. Where like I'm less likely to go back to Arkham Asylum, but if I start an Arkham Asylum playthrough, I'm probably gonna make it to the end. So I'm conflicted on this, and
That is a real Sophie's choice you put together for yourself.
yeah,
That's what they call it.
And to be honest, I don't really care where this lands. So like,
I'm kind of in the same boat.
Yeah. So,
I just want to get a good idea of where Connor's putting it.
Putting it number 9, of course.
above Arkham, below Resident Evil 4.
So that would put Arkham at number 10.
Yes, it would.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, like, Phil, we were finishing our conversation in our playthrough, and I really thought that I would have preferred Arkham over Halo. But now that I have a week and a half separated from my playthrough, time to reflect back on it, I think I would rather pick up Halo again. So I think I'm actually going to side with Connor and put it at number 9.
You know, Tavin, I'm glad that you said it so that I didn't have to be like the first one to say it, because I was kind of in the same boat. Like, having the time separated from it is actually very helpful, I would say. In favor for Halo, you know.
But the thing is like, if you put, like, I think multiplayer would drag this game back. If we were grading it on that, I think if it was just a purely single player game, it would drag it back.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think what would instantly put this like even higher than than a bunch of other stuff on this list is if you could play co-op with more than 2 people.
Yeah,
Crank that up to legendary. Be fun.
yeah, right.
We played on heroic. I don't know if we said that.
Yeah, me and Phil played heroic. Connor said he was playing on normal, which is funny that you were like, "Hey, there was like difficulty spikes on normal." Because I mean, maybe it was because I was in a co-op situation. I don't remember us ever getting stuck, except for maybe one part. I remember us having to do a few times.
It was that one part where we just kept on running in the snow and kept getting picked off because we didn't have ammo.
Oh,
that's right. Funny. That's right. We were out of. We didn't have any good weapons or anything. And as much as I was like, the level design sucks, and there were moments where I was like, I don't know where to go, it was never as frustrating as moments where I didn't know where to go in Arkham Asylum. Because there are those moments, too, where I'm like, where the fuck do I go next? Or how do I get into this building? I don't understand. And that was frustrating. Arkham would get frustrating. Arkham would get frustrating a lot faster than Halo. Well, it was on a return visit to a building that I would get stuck, and I just didn't know how to get inside. I think objectively Batman is a better game, but it's just not as fun as Halo. Halo's just more fun, and I would rather have more fun than a middling experience that's, better put together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like Avengers Endgame versus Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you're bored as shit and fucking wishing it was over. Well, but you're like, yeah, directing's great, acting's great, whatever.
That's not true. I was not bored as hell.
But Avengers Endgame, you're just having fun from beginning to end, having a great time. There's plot holes galore, but man, you're having a great time, watching it. So, you know what I'm saying?
I have a great time watching the last 45 minutes.
No, I kind of enjoy. That's a different conversation. So yeah, I'm gonna side with Connor, and I'm gonna actually put it at number 9 above Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Number 9.
there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the list as it is right now. Number 1, God of War Ragnarok. Number 2, The Last of Us. Number 3, Hades. Number 4, Dishonored. Number 5, Chrono Trigger. Number 6, Resident Evil. Number 7, Portal. Number 8, Resident Evil 4. Number 9, Halo Combat Evolved. And number 10, Batman Arkham Asylum.
My work is still going strong. I am
so excited.
The number 1 hater.
The number 1 hater of Batman.
I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited.
So, gentlemen.
You know why I'm excited, Tavin?
Why are you excited, my friend?
Because we're going to spin the wheel.
We are going to spin the wheel. Hold on.
Always
I
a fun.
realized I need to...
Always a fun.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost you there, Connor.
You're always a fun what?
Oh, fun moment.
Yes.
So spinning the wheel.
Gentlemen, we have a veto system in place to where we can check off games that we don't want to play this next month or so. What was picked this last time, Phil picked Death Stranding, Connor picked Sonic Adventure, and I picked The Last of Us Part 2. None of those 3 games can be checked off this time around, but we can all check off new things this time around. So either look through what I'm scrolling through right here, or
we can't see.
Yeah, I can.
Oh, you can't see. All right. Well, look through the fucking Discord list then.
I'm gonna say I don't want to play Persona.
Okay, no Persona. Second time getting checked off. But
not in a row.
Not in a row, so it counts. There's a couple of games on this list that honestly, I'm just not in the mood for right now. Connor, do you have an immediate jump to where you're like, no, not that one?
No, I'm still looking.
So,
lots of games to go through.
Scrolling through, I am not in the mood for... I've decided I don't like the idea of playing, if I can fucking find it. I'm picking Dead Cells is what I'm picking.
Okay.
Because I'm not in the mood for a grindy, like, Castlevania type or roguelike game right now. So whenever I can find it,
I'm kind of falling off on it too.
So, and because you've been playing it because of the Castlevania expansion.
Yeah, it's still really good. I'm just kind of like, my want to go back to it is waning.
Which is funny because in the group chat you were like, "Oh, this is going on my list," and I was like, "I don't know if it will," because 1, there's a lot of bangers this year, and 2, like, Dead Cells is great, but you've already played it, and just like a new skin on Dead Cells isn't gonna.
Yeah, tentatively, it is on my list. But
Connor, do you have anything that you're not willing to play this next month or so?
GTA 3.
GTA 3.
I'll continue to hate. I was hating on it today, and I'll hate on it now.
That's such a wild pick.
That is a really wild pick. There's so many other games because GTA 3, like, sure, will be a slog because it's old, but like,
see, some games we just got to get through. I know this eventually is going to be a game we're going to be like, ugh, we're going to have to play this one.
Oh yeah. So let's go ahead, spin the wheel, gentlemen. Let's see what we're playing on our next episode.
Excited. I'm so excited.
What it is, Tavin. You'll have to tell us what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait.
It is Uncharted 1.
Huh.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yikes.
Yeah. Here we go with some Uncharted. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back. Let me check the calendar. I mean, it wouldn't take us long. So, we will be back on April 2nd, recording our review for Uncharted. So, you can expect it that night, April 2nd, or connected to the Two Penny Gamescast, Monday, 8 a.m., April 3rd, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and listening. Tell us down in the comments what you felt about Halo Combat Evolved today, and how you feel of where it landed in our rankings. So sorry for Halo fans. Until next time, have a great time, and gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Bye.
See ya.